You know that feeling, right? You work hard every single week, but when you look at your bank account at the end of the month, there's, well, not much to show for it. No real savings, no investments, just this endless cycle. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you're definitely in the right place.
Yeah, it's that feeling like you're putting in all this effort, running as hard as you can, but you're not actually getting anywhere. You're earning, sure, and you're spending, but your financial bottom line, it just stays the same.
And this chart, wow, it just perfectly illustrates the whole problem, doesn't it? All that hard work on one side, and then this tiny little sliver for savings on the other. Now, the most important thing to get is that this isn't just bad luck. It's actually a series of really common mistakes that honestly most of us don't even know we're making.
All right, so let's get into it. We're going to break down 10 of these hidden money mistakes. And hey, make sure you pay close attention, because number 7, that's the one that trips up almost everyone, even the people who think they've got it all figured out. So first up, we've got to talk about what I call the invisible money problem. You know, the money that seems to just vanish into thin air. These are the little habits that are quietly draining your bank account when you're not even looking.
Okay, mistake number 1 is basically trying to navigate your finances completely blind. And just think about that number for a second. People without a budget can spend up to 25% more every single month. A budget isn't about restricting yourself, it's not a financial diet, it's a plan. It's about giving you control. You could even start with something super simple, like the 50-30-20 rule. That's 50% for your needs, 30% for wants, and a solid 20% for savings. See? It's all about telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it all went.
Now this one is so sneaky. It's not about some big, crazy purchase. Nope, it's the little things, right? The daily coffee, the subscriptions you forgot you even had, they all add up, and it can quietly push you into the red month after month. I've got a little challenge for you. Pull up your last bank statement. Seriously, do it. And just go through and highlight every single one of those recurring charges. The numbers do not lie, and trust me, you might be shocked at what you find.
Okay, so now that we've kind of exposed those invisible problems, let's talk about building up your defense. Think of it like plugging the holes in your financial boat before you try to go any faster.
Look, life happens, right? The car breaks down, you get a surprise medical bill. It's just part of it. But without a cash cushion, every single one of those little surprises turns into debt. And that one unexpected bill can quickly spiral into a massive problem once those high interest rates kick in.
I know, building an emergency fund can sound really intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Here's a super simple 3-step plan to get you started. First, open a separate high-yield savings account. The key word there is separate. You want it out of sight, out of mind. Then, just start small. Set a goal of, say, $500. That's enough to handle most minor stuff. And from there, you just slowly build it up until you've got 3 months of your essential expenses covered. That's a real safety net.
This really shows you the true cost of that whole buy now, pay later mindset. Look, credit cards can be a fantastic tool, but the second you carry a balance, they turn into a trap. With interest rates averaging over 20%, that $1,000 thing you bought is now costing you an extra $200 a year for literally nothing. So here's the rule you've got to burn into your brain. If you can't pay it off in full this month, you can't afford it yet. Period.
All right, so we've plugged the leaks. We're on defense. Now it's time to switch things up and go on offense. We're shifting from just surviving to actually getting ahead. And these next few mistakes, these are the ones that really determine your long-term wealth.
Just take a second and look at these numbers. This is the absolutely staggering power of compound interest. By waiting just 10 years to start saving the exact same amount of money, you could end up with less than half. That's insane. Time is your single greatest asset when it comes to investing. Every single year you wait doesn't just cost you a little bit, it costs you a fortune.
Lifestyle inflation. You know exactly how this goes. You get a raise, a new job, and boom, suddenly you need the nicer car, the bigger apartment, the fancier dinners out. That's it. Your expenses just slowly creep up to eat every new dollar you make, and you're right back where you started. So what's the fix? Here's the pro tip. The next time you get a raise, before you do anything else, automate at least half of that new money straight into savings or investments. Get it out of your hands before you can even get used to it.
And here we are. Mistake number 7, the one I told you gets almost everybody. You think your money is safe sitting in a savings account, right? I mean, it makes sense. But you're wrong. Every single year, inflation, which is usually around 3 to 4%, is silently eating away at what your money can actually buy. So being safe is actually a guaranteed way to lose money over time.
Now let's contrast that guaranteed loss from inflation with this. You do not need to be a stock-picking genius to do this. A simple, low-cost S&P 500 index fund, which is really just a big basket holding the 500 biggest companies in the US, has on average returned about 10% a year. The whole point isn't just to save money, it's to make your money grow faster than inflation is shrinking it.
All right, this next section is all about the outside world. You know, the external pressures and the numbers that can either help you or trap you in a nasty cycle of comparison.
Your credit score is so much more than just a number. Think of it like a key to your entire financial future. It affects the interest rates you get on your car, your house, pretty much everything. And as you can see here, the difference between a good score and a not-so-good one can literally save you over 50 grand in interest on a typical mortgage for the exact same house. It's huge.
And that brings us right to mistake number 9, playing the dangerous game of trying to look wealthy instead of actually building wealth. I'm just going to pause for a second and let you read that quote. Let it sink in. In our world of perfectly curated social media, the pressure is just immense. We see the highlight reel, right? The fancy vacations, the new cars, and our brain starts to think that's normal, that's reality. It's a psychological trap that makes us spend on the shiny things we can show off, while we totally neglect the invisible stuff that creates real financial security. True wealth is what you don't see.
Okay, wow. We have covered a lot of ground. But you know what? Information is totally useless if you don't take action. So let's talk about the final mistake. And more importantly, how you can take your very first step forward, like today.
And the final mistake? It's thinking you're done learning. Here's the thing. Money is a skill. And just like any other skill, it takes practice and you have to keep learning. The people who really build wealth treat their financial education like a lifelong habit. You don't need to go get a PhD in finance. Just start small. Read one book. Follow one smart creator online. Have one real conversation about money. That's it.
So, if you've been listening and recognized yourself in some of these points, I really need you to hear this. That does not make you a bad person. It doesn't make you bad with money. It just makes you normal. Most of us were never, ever taught this stuff. But the amazing thing is, now you know. And knowing, that's the point where everything can start to change.
Look, don't get overwhelmed and try to fix all 10 of these things at once. That's not the goal. The secret is to just pick one. Just one thing from this entire list. Maybe it's setting up that simple budget we talked about, or maybe it's just opening that separate savings account. Focus on that one single thing this week, because small, consistent actions, that's what builds a truly amazing financial life.
And finally, I want to leave you with one last thing, a powerful question that can guide all your decisions from here on out. Before every single non-essential purchase, just take a breath, pause, and ask yourself this. That one question has the power to change everything. It puts you back in the driver's seat, on the path to real, actual financial freedom.